It's so wonderful to have you join us in this another edition of Living Your Dreams television broadcast. We will be dealing this period on what we have called Relationship Revolution Campaign. Relationship Revolution Campaign is just saying that you don't have a choice when it has to do with participating in a relationship. So the question is not if you will participate or not. You will participate because you were created for relationship. The question becomes how you will participate. Will you participate in a way that will make you a loving, wonderful, excellent person who does not cause harm and pain to others? Or will you participate in a way that will defile others and cause them pain? The greatest commandment is love the Lord your God with all your heart, with all your soul, and with all your mind. And then the second is like the first, love your neighbor as yourself. There are three people involved in that statement: God, yourself, and others. So in your life, every time there are three people that you're in a relationship with, a threefold cord cannot be broken. So in this relationship campaign that will be running for about 3 to 4 months, or even more than that, we will be running it on social media and then different aspects of media, because, like I said earlier, the question is not if you will participate in a relationship. That's not what we're talking about. The question is, how will you participate in such a way that you will be a gift and a resource to mankind? Thank you so much as we begin this discussion.
Are you pointing people to the right direction but never getting to your destination?
My prosperity is a trust from heaven to expand the frontiers of God's kingdom.
We are entering into a season of the fulfillment of promises. But you got to make sure that you are in compliance and obedience.
That you have come as a blessing. You say, well, I have come as a blessing to neutralize every curse in this place. They say, well, this place is cursed. I said, that's why I'm here.
So there's a realm of blessing which you don't get from believers, you get from Gentiles.
I love the hair, I love the dress, but the reason why we gathered here is because we know he will show up.
There are people that they have had encounters. They don't have all the English you have, but they have scars.
Welcome back. Like I said, our topic today is who are you? Or who are you? So we're looking at 2 Corinthians 5:16. It says, so then from now on, we have a new perspective that refuses to evaluate people merely from their outward appearances. For that's how we once viewed the anointed one, but no longer do we see him with limited human insight. So we are saying, for you to define who you are correctly, you need a new perspective. A new perspective that knows that, a new perspective that will help you to begin to see these things differently. Number one, that your name does not define who you are. That where you live does not define who you are or give you meaning, fulfillment, and growth. Again, that what you do in terms of the roles you play in the 7 gates of the society, vis-a-vis the roles you play in business and politics, in business and economy, or government and politics, even arts, sports, and culture. These things don't define how grown you are. It doesn't define your maturity. It doesn't express your fulfillment or give your life a meaning. Your physical dimension or appearance, whether you're tall, you're slender, whether you have your vital statistics is 22, 16, 22, or you have your chest, you have a V chest, or you know how to dress. It doesn't give your life a meaning. What we're saying is your place of worship, your denominational preference, whether you're Methodist, Catholic, Presbyterian, Pentecostal, Charismatic, or your doctrinal position. I'm a Protestant, I'm an evangelical, I'm a Calvinist. They don't define who you are. If we put these things together and use it to mix a procedure, that procedure is not going to answer the question of meaning, growth, fulfillment. So basically, what we are saying in this broadcast is who you are on the outside does not define who you are. Who you are is far more than what we see on the outside. So if we begin to evaluate you from external appearance, we would have done a very bad job. I remember when Jesus came, we evaluated him from external appearance. Some called him a false teacher, some called him a blasphemer, some called him a wine bibbler, and they call him a wine taker, they call him a friend of tax collectors, because they were looking at him based on, oh, we saw him with tax collectors, therefore he's a sinner. We saw him with sex worker, he's a sinner. Most times, when we begin to define ourselves or others from the externals, we miss the mark. We miss the mark because those things do not really define who anybody is. What it does is an explanation of what happens on the exterior, and it's not the exterior that determines, that brings about transformation in terms of nation building and a better society. It's not. So the question becomes, you must be able to answer one of the most important questions in life, and this important question is necessary to define your maturity as a Christian or as a human being. What is that question? What determines what you do? This question is crucial. The question of what is it that determines what you do? Or put it in another way, is who you are determined by what you do, or is what you do determined by who you are? Even as you're listening to me, as a father, as a mother, as a child, as an in-law, as a grandfather, just pause a little bit and answer this question. Because thinking about a lion roars because he's a lion. It's not the roaring that gives the lion meaning, fulfillment, growth, relevance, and significance. No, it is who the lion is. There is something in his makeup that makes him to roar. So the moment you remove who he is, or he doesn't know who he is anymore, if the lion stops knowing who he is, he will stop roaring. So it is who you are that determines what you do. Birds fly because they are birds, because they know. So you can be something and not know that you are something. The day you know, your dynamics change. If an eagle does not know that he's an eagle and he thinks he's a chicken, he will behave like a chicken. He will fly just like at the height any chicken can fly. But the day it dawns on him that, wow, I am an eagle, so that means I can fly. So ladies and gentlemen, as Africans, we have so many talents. It may even shock you that your grandfather Moses, one of his wife, came from Africa. That shows you how much Africans, how great Africans are. Time will fail me to begin to go through our African route. Not only am I looking at this from you being an African, and I want you to understand that your hope for growth, your hope for fulfillment, and your hope for meaning as a Christian is based on understanding who you are. Just like I said, the moment the lion understands he's a lion, his dynamics change. The moment a bird understands that he's a bird, his dynamics change. I'm going to tell you a story that has to do with this. This story, I heard it from Lisa Bevere. I want you to hear what the story is about. It's actually something that happened at a documentary that was shot on an animal channel. Some lions, a lion and a lioness, were taken out of their natural habitat, and they brought them into a community and they raised them there. Then after some time, they also gave birth to their own children. And they took out the father and the mother. But they noticed that the children, the lion and the lioness, grew up, 2 lionesses and 1 lion, and began to a little bit terrorize the community. So they took them out of that place and then returned them to the forest, wildlife where they belonged. But before they did that, there was something they did. They said, since these people are not used to living in the wildlife, they created like a fence, like a barricade to put them inside. Because in the lion's kingdom, there is something that happens. The size of the mane of the white lion determines who will attack him or who will not attack him. Because when you see the size of his mane, it tells you whether he's a strong lion or not. But something happened. Before they made the fence, they discovered that all the other lions were attacking this lion. Because of that, they created a fence. But they noticed that while creating a fence, those animals, 3 of them, 2 female, the 2 lionesses and 1 lion, did not make any attempt to go a little bit to the fence. They never took a step towards the fence because the people who put them there kept supplying food for them. They remained like that. Then the people came and increased the fence to give them more room. Yet, these 3 animals did not make any attempt to rise up and go beyond because they were throwing food inside. So even when you throw food and the food is not close to them, they won't make any attempt to stretch and pick food. So they decided that they were going to leave them hungry. Do you know the day the hunger overcame their hesitation for safety, they jumped up and they flew over to go and drag the food and bring it back. Let me stop this story so far. But before I stop, I want to show you this. I forgot to tell you that they put a tracker around their neck to be able to video them and understand their behavior. The story went that when they saw that all the other lions were attacking the lion, so they decided they were going to go take off the tracker. So they came in with the lion, with the camera. For them to be able to take out the tracker, they will have to tranquilize the lion. So imagine how huge a lion is. What did they do? The moment they shot the tranquilizer, this lion laid down flat. He could see them, but he couldn't harm them. You see, who he is has been tranquilized by that circumstance. Eventually, while they were about to take off the tranquilizer, to take off the tracker, they didn't know that the lioness was coming behind. The moment the lioness was about to attack them, to cut a very long story short, they also tranquilized the lioness, who laid down. 2 of them could see them, but they couldn't touch them because they had been tranquilized. But while they were running, the commentator said, we better run because there is nothing as dangerous as being in the midst of lions when they are fully awake. Why did I tell you this story? Is to explain understanding who you are is your hope for growth, is your hope for meaning, is your hope for fulfillment. Ladies and gentlemen, the lioness, as long as he's awake and conscious, you can't take him captive. Many of us have been taken captive by circumstances, taken captive by peer pressure, taken captive by drugs. Some of us have been taken captive by cocaine, taken captive by codeine. These days, you can even see a young person who is drinking Fanta. It's not Fanta. No, it's not that soft drink. He has mixed codeine and has even put all other things inside to be able to be high. You don't know who you are. If you know who you are, you will know that you don't need all of that for self-esteem or for recognition or achievement or performance or for whatever reason it is. The moment the lion was tranquilized, it was no longer dangerous to be in the midst of lions when they were fully awake. I'm going to slow down because I will be back right after now.
Are you pointing people to the right direction but never getting to your destination?
My prosperity is a trust from heaven to expand the frontiers of God's kingdom.
We are entering into a season of the fulfillment of promises. But you got to make sure that you are in compliance and obedience.
That you have come as a blessing. You say, well, I have come as a blessing to neutralize every curse in this place. They say, well, this place is cursed. I said, that's why I'm here.
So there's a realm of blessing which you don't get from believers, you get from Gentiles.
I love the hair, I love the dress, but the reason why we gathered here is because we know he will show up.
There are people that they have had encounters. They don't have all the English you have, but they have scars.
I'm back again. What we're discussing, I said that I believe that your hope for growth, meaning and fulfillment as a Christian, even as a human being, is based on understanding who you are. And I began to look at the dynamics of a lion. Many of us have been tranquilized by circumstances, by friends, by peer pressure, tranquilized by external appearance, tranquilized by star performance, tranquilized by achievement, the need to be right, and all of that. Ladies and gentlemen, if you don't know who you are, 3 aspects of your life will be missing. 1, you can't grow into the things you have been called to do. 2, you can't find meaning. And 3, you can't find fulfillment. And when I say understanding who you are, if you are a believer in Christ, I'm talking about your identity in Christ. Simple. Understanding who you are is the awareness and the revelation that I am a child of God. I want that thing to sink. Let's look at it again. In my little time I have spent on earth, I have discovered that people who appear to have it all together on the outside, when you look at them, everything is correct, everything is okay. Most times, they don't. Life has taught me that most times, when you see people who appear to have it all together on the outside, may not necessarily have it all together on the outside. Because a lot of times, many of us have false front we have created to actually disguise who we truly are, to cover up the negative feelings we have about ourselves. You look at us, you see someone, and you say, oh, I want to be like this person. Or maybe you see someone on television or see someone on Instagram, these days of Instagram. I know many people who have low self-esteem because of social media. You see an old friend on Instagram, he looks all together. You say, oh, this person has left me behind. And oh, my life is so backwards, without knowing that it's all a false front, Photoshop, that has been used to cover truly the negative feeling the person is going on the inside. It means that we have lost the meaning of life. In fact, I taught some time back, I was teaching a message, what is the meaning of life? The meaning of life cannot be the result of appearance, admiration, performance, accomplishment, status, or recognition. If this is the meaning of life, then Solomon, King Solomon, who was the wisest and the wealthiest man that lived, would not have said, vanity, 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 all of them is vanity. Can't you see that some of us have external appearance and people admire you? They see you everywhere. You have 2 million likes on social media, because sometimes now that is beginning to validate our importance. So, oh, I have 2 million followers. It doesn't necessarily mean that you are living a meaningful life or you are living a whole life. Good appearance plus admiration does not mean you're a whole person. I will define that. And I'll say that again. Star performance and accomplishment does not mean that you're a whole person. So let's chase wholeness. And again, a certain amount of status and recognition we accumulate does not mean you're a whole person. Look at it again. Good appearance, admiration is not equal to wholeness. Look at it again. Star performance, accomplishment is not equal to wholeness. Certain amount of status and recognition is not equal to wholeness. So what are we talking about? What we are talking about is more serious than what you're looking at. What does it mean to be whole? To be whole means to be single. To be single does not mean that you are unmarried. To be single means that you understand your uniqueness. That you understand that you don't carry a lot of junks. What do I mean by a lot of junks? Things, experiences that happened in the past that has made you lock your heart to the people who you ought to love, who you're supposed to express love to. That's carrying junk. And so someone says, I explained that. I was trying to define singleness. I said, you understand your uniqueness. If they put 2 billion people here and they have more wealth, more riches, more this, more that, will you still feel that you are a whole person, that you are meaningful, that you matter? Or will you begin to feel small and as if you don't measure up? That's what I mean by uniqueness. That if you come in, everybody, they take front seats. Maybe you do a job that requires that most of the time you are in the background. Maybe on a movie set, you are not the star actor. You are not the one that's performing the lead role. Maybe in that set, you are the person who is cleaning up. You are the person who is the go-for guy. Will you still feel? Will you be intimidated by other people? If you do, you don't recognize your uniqueness, because everybody is big in God's eyes. Again, if you translate your life star performance and accomplishment, and you say that's what makes you a whole person. I need to explain wholeness. I've talked about uniqueness. I've talked about not having wholeness. Wholeness itself, it simply means that your spirit, your soul, and your body, you have not been fragmented. That your prize, in terms of how God created you, in terms of the glory you were born with, has not been rebranded by circumstances. There are some of us, you are a husband, but your life is a pain to your family. Your life is a pain to your children. Your life is a pain to your wife. And even when they are talking, you don't understand what they are talking about. As far as you're concerned, you provide them everything. And for you, having provided everything means that they are supposed to be happy. You define life by temporal values. And your wife is screaming and shouting about something, and same with your children, and you're not able to understand. Sometimes something happened to you while you were a child. You have inner wounds. These inner wounds were caused either by needs that were not met while you were a child. What do I mean by those needs? Needs feel the same, whether legitimate or illegitimate. And maybe you grew up under parents who put you under pressure to perform, or you grew up where you were verbally abused, or sexually abused, or physically abused, or you grew up where you grew up in a family where they damaged you. All these things, there are 16 different ways that when you react, it causes pain. All these are negative reactions that cause pain to the people around you. It means that you're not a whole person. And then we even come to talk about separate, unique, and whole. Separate, unique simply means I am separate. Separate means take me out of the branch. I can still stand all by myself. That's why God said it's not good for man to be alone. That's a matter for another time. I was trying to use it to explain separateness. You know, Adam and Eve were in the same body originally. God said, let us make man in our image. He said, to cut a long story short, Male and female created he him. But he was talking about one person. He created Adam, and they say male and female created him. Bottom line, there are two people in one body when God created man and woman. However, he had to separate the woman from the man. The male stood alone, the female stood alone. Ladies and gentlemen, to be separate means when you stand, you don't need anything to feel complete. If you need your car, or you need your clothes, or you need your title in your office, or the size of your investment to feel complete, it means that you're not a whole person. If those things have to come together, if you must answer your name and then there must be a title in front of it, you're not a whole person. You're an incomplete person. And if that is the case, your life will lack meaning, your life will lack fulfillment, and your life will lack growth. This is as much as we can take on this particular edition of Living Your Dreams broadcast. Thank you so much. See you. And I just release the presence of God over you. I declare that you will worth your weight in gold, according to Lamentations chapter 4 verse 2. I pray for the restoration of your weight in terms of influence, in terms of gold, in terms of the glory you were born with. And I release healing over Nigeria. I release healing over your family. I release healing over churches. I declare what God had in mind when he created you, may you come back to that original place in terms of giving birth, in terms of marriage, and every other thing that has to do with your life. God bless you. See you next week. We'll pick it up from this place again.